Hello everyone and welcome to this SC-900 exam prep session. In this particular session, we will take you through the questions and I'll share not just the correct answers, but why they are correct and why the wrong ones are wrong. We will look at how Microsoft thinks about security from a cloud perspective and how you can think like the exam. My name is Vimal Singh and get your notepad ready. Let's jump into the questions. Okay, let's explore first objective domain for SC-900. The first objective domain that you can see here, we have described the concept of security, compliance, and identity, and we are expecting 10 to 15% of question from this particular domain. The second domain is capabilities of Microsoft Entra, and we are expecting 25 to 30% of question from here. The third objective domain is capabilities of Microsoft Security Solutions, 35 to 40% question from this particular domain. And the fourth one is capabilities of Microsoft Compliance Solution, 20 to 25% question from here. It's very logical. So I would say the key objective domain to crack this SC-900 exam would be Microsoft Entra. As you can see, there are two places or two objective domain from where you can expect identity related question. And definitely the second top is going to be capability of Microsoft Security Solutions. Here you need to explore the Microsoft offering security services like Defender for Endpoint, Defender for we can say cloud, and Microsoft Purview or Priva, all these services and their use cases. Okay, so let's get started with the questions. The first question is, which functionality is provided by Microsoft Entra ID? Let's explore. And if I see the Microsoft official document, which talks about comprehensive capability of Microsoft Entra ID, and at first place, we can see a single sign-on is the option which is coming. If you talk about other option which is available in our answer, you can say area, that doesn't fall at this place. So definitely we are going to exclude all this, and our right answer should be single sign-on. But let's explore now what Microsoft Learn says about this. If I explore the Microsoft Learn document, there also it has clearly mentioned the Microsoft Entra ID provides single sign-on. And that's the reason our correct answer is going to be single sign-on. Now, if you look for the second question, what is the minimum edition of Microsoft Entra ID needed to use Microsoft Entra privilege, you can say identity management? If I talk about this particular service, this is one of the advanced service that we are getting from the Entra ID. And all the advanced service comes with the premium licenses. The ask is for license because minimum edition means it represents the license requirement. So definitely the advanced services cannot be done with the free, not with the external ID. External ID is about to managing external identities in your organization. Now the confusion is P1 or P2. For that, we are going to explore again Microsoft document, and ask is about privilege identity management. And there I can see that particular service falls under this Microsoft Entra ID Premium 2 license. If I'll go and explore Microsoft Learn document, it clearly mentioned that Microsoft Entra ID P2 is the only edition that provides PIM support. So our answer is going to be Microsoft Entra ID P2. Now the next question is, which type of identity should you use to allow virtual machines to access Azure storage without having to handle password change manually? Here the ask, and try to understand the context. It is asking you, Azure virtual machine is trying to access or can access the Azure storage account. These two services belong to Azure itself. So the communication is between Azure service to Azure service. That's the key point you need to keep in your mind. So now if I look for Microsoft official document here, if your source is Azure resources and your target is Azure resources, which is already integrated in Entra ID, for that we should use managed identity. And if you're using managed identity, it is fully managed service, so you don't need to worry about their credentials. Even the Microsoft Learn document says the Microsoft identities are fully managed by Microsoft Entra and can be used by Microsoft resources when accessing other Azure resources. Now, if you'll explore why the other options are not valid, so if you can see, user needs to manage password manually, which is not our ask. The second, device is used for device but cannot be used to access Azure resources. So again, the device is not going to be there. And service principal is used for applications but not for Azure resources. So our answer should be managed identity. Now, if you look for which type of Microsoft identity is used for identifying an application, it is about application. So how the application will get identified in my Microsoft Entra ID, for that which option is going to be right one. So definitely the previous you can say discussion, previous question discussion is going to answer this question. We already talked about it, but let's explore. Here, this is your application, either developed by your developers or it's a third party, or you can say non-Microsoft application. And this application wants to access the resources which is hosted on Azure, or you can say it's Azure resources. So that application must be presented in our Entra ID so they can access. And to present this in our Entra ID, we have to use service principal. This is what Microsoft document says. Now, if I explore the Microsoft Learn document, it says a service principal is essentially an identity for an application. So our answer should be service principal. Now, if you look for the next question, this is asking an organization is in migration and migration towards the cloud, and the plan is to use hybrid identity model. Hybrid identity model means you want to keep your Entra ID as well as your on-premises directory service. So the main ask is what can be used to sync identity between Active Directory, domain service, and Microsoft Entra ID. So let's understand this scenario. This is your Entra ID and this is your on-premises directory service. So to send your all object from here to that place, you need one additional service, which we call it Azure AD Connect. This Azure AD Connect is responsible to synchronize your object from here to there. Now, what you can do and what are the components we have? We must need something called connector. So that connector is responsible to establish the communication between on-premises directory service and the, you can say, Entra ID. If you can see, there are three major components: ADDS connector account, the AD-Sync service account. The service account would be responsible to manage this particular service, and Azure AD connector account. This is the account that will connect Entra ID. So two different connector account and one account that will manage this particular service. After that, you can establish, synchronize your object from here to there. So we got to know the service name which is required to get the synchronized. Let's explore what Microsoft document says. So it says Microsoft Entra Connect is designed to meet and accomplish hybrid identity goals. Now, why the other option cannot be? Because from the answer, we can select this one as the document and Microsoft references says. If I talk about ADFS, ADFS cannot be used for hybrid identity model, and it's a bit confusing because we are using a hybrid identity model, but this is not to synchronize your object from here to there. This is for the federation. If I talk about the Sentinel, Sentinel is for the security, not identity management product. And PIM is used to managing and monitoring your access to the important resources, not again synchronizing the object. So our right answer should be Microsoft Entra Connect. Now, next question is, which two additional form of authentication are available in Microsoft Entra ID for multi-factor authentication from any device? And here, the ask is each correct answer presents a complete solution. It means you have more than one correct answer that you need to pick. So it is not asking you, if you read the context of this question, it is not asking you what are the MFA, multi-factor authentication options we have. It is asking you the form of authentication. So like text message, voice call, or the application that you will use to authenticate. So let's understand this scenario. When we are into the multi-factor authentication, we can have all these options available. And this is how the user experience would be. The user will be presented to provide any of this to get authenticated. So you can see at this place, user can be asked for text or the call, the phone number. Now let's compare it with the answers, whatever we are getting. Face recognition and fingerprint recognition works with the Windows Hello. And here it is asking for multi-factor authentication form. So the form can be either multi-factor authenticator app or the voice call. Let's see what Microsoft document says. So the Microsoft Authenticator app and the FIDO2 security key are available in Microsoft Entra for MFA. That is from any device. And the other option you can see is for Windows Hello. Because we are using multi-factor authentication, and the option that you can see is related to your, you can say, Authenticator app and voice call. So this is what we get as a Microsoft Authenticator app that we can use as a form of that authentication. So yeah, this is going to be the right answer, the Microsoft Authenticator app or the voice call. Now, the next question is, based on the Microsoft Azure Security Score recommendation, an administrator decides to improve identity security within an organization. So, what would be the greatest protection to user identities? So, if I understand, what is the best, you can say, authentication approach that Microsoft recommends for the user? It has been categorized in bad, good, better, and best one. So now you can see these are the bad passwords, a simple password. The good password can be considered if you are having SMS or voice. The better password, you can use push notification from the authenticator or software token OTP or hardware token OTP. But the best password is considered authenticator. You can say phone sign in that you can use from there, or Windows Hello or the FIDO or maybe certificate. Now we have to check what are the options that question has. So if I see the options there, I can see only the using the Microsoft Authenticator app falls under the greatest, or you can say the best protection. If I explore this document reference, it says the Microsoft Authenticator app, or you can say phone sign in, is the strongest authentication method. So our answer should be using the Microsoft Authenticator app. This is going to be the right answer. Now, the next question is asking, what are three things that a user can use for Microsoft Entra multi-factor authentication, and each correct answer presents a complete solution. So you need to find the right answer. What would be the three options that user can use as a multi-factor authentication? So let's explore from the documents. Here documents clearly says the multi-factor authentication works with the three things. Something you have, like either you will have password or PIN that can be presented as a multi-factor authentication, or you might have trusted device, or you can say the phone or the hardware key that you can present, or you can provide biometrics like fingerprint or the face scan that can be. So this three thing can be used as a multi-factor authentication. So if I come and check from the answer, so we are getting something the claimant knows, something the claimant has, and something the claimant is. Let's explore the Microsoft official document, and it says Microsoft MFA works by requiring something you know, like password, something you have, like phone, or something you are, like biometrics. So it's very simple. The first three is going to be right answer. Now, the next question is, which Microsoft Entra feature helps reduce help desk calls and the loss of productivity when a user cannot sign in into their device or an application? This is a scenario where it is trying to ask, like, what if the user forget their password and they have to work on it? So if I talk about the traditional approach, user just request help desk to reset their password and then they start working on it. It's going to be time consuming job. So here Microsoft is offering you something called SSPR, self-service password reset. And within the console, you can have this option from the Enter ID portal. You can go in password reset. There you can enable it for all the user, or you can say required user to whom you want to allow. And then you can go for the registration. You can say authentication approach, where you can set what authentication method that the user will use to prove their identity before resetting their password. So it can be either set of questions, or maybe multi-factor authentication, or maybe not multi-factor authentication, using phone authentication or the mail authentication that user can use to prove their identity, and then they will get the reset uh, password reset console or option where they can reset. So this will reduce the you can say help desk effort and improve the productivity. So definitely, as we discussed, the SSPR sounds like the correct answer. But if I'll go and explore the Microsoft reference, it says again, SSPR is the feature of Microsoft Entra that allow user to change or reset their password without administrator or help desk environment. That's perfect. Now, if I talk about the others like identity protection, conditional access, or Microsoft Entra password protection, all these are not going to be right one, because identity protection is the security service. Conditional access will either allow or block accessing of any resources. I mean, moreover, application or administrative resources. And this is password protection, which helps you to protect your basic or the normal password not to be kept in identity stores. So the right answer is going to be SSPR. Now, the next question is, which three actions should be performed to enable self-service password reset for user? and each correct answer presents part of the solution. So let's explore and understand. Here, the Microsoft documents clearly says there are three things that need to be configured, or you can say enabled, for self-service password reset. The first thing, your user must have the right license assigned to them. Then you must enable self-service password reset feature for that user, and then you must register the authentication approach or the method that user will use to prove their identity. So that's very simple and logical thing. So if I look for the answer, the first thing, the license assignment, enablement of SSPR for the user, and registration. So the first three is going to be the correct answer. Even if you'll explore the Microsoft Learn document, you will find the same answer. And there we go. This is going to be the right answer. Now, the next question is, which condition can you use in a conditional access policy to evaluate the likelihood that a user account was compromised? So let's understand what signal that Microsoft, you can say, conditional access uses. So if you can see in left hand side, these all are the signals that Enter ID conditional access is looking from the user. So identity, workload, group roles, risk is something, one which is near to our ask or the question. So we can consider this particular as the right answer. So you can see here we have under the answer location, device state, user risk, and sign-in risk. Because the question asks is user account was compromised, and that information I'll get it from the user risk. So here it clearly says user risk can evaluate the likelihood that user account was compromised. That's the clear statement that Microsoft has put in their Learn document. So the right answer is going to be user risk. Now, which two signals can be used as a part of conditional access, and each correct answer represents part of the solution. Now we need to check which is the right signals which Enter ID conditional access uses. Group membership, device platform, password length, or phone number. Now, if I check the Microsoft documents, and there I can see the identity, workload, group is there, roles is there, risk is there, trusted and compliant devices. Devices are listed, application and data, location, and compliant network. Here, if I see from the answer list, I'm getting only group membership and device platform. So definitely this two is going to be the right answer. Now, the next one is, what is the difference between Microsoft Entra role-based access control and Azure role-based access control? This is a very interesting question because both sounds like role-based access control. So is this the same one? No. So if you talk about Entra, it has a different set of role, and other Azure resources will have different set of role. Let's explore. So here you can see this particular, you can say, diagram. We are at Microsoft Entra Admin Center, and at this place we are getting a dedicated roles and admin category. Under that we will have all the roles available that we can use for Entra ID. It's not going to be similar to Azure resources. Now, the other hand, if you can see, this is our Azure resources, and there we are getting something called access control, and inside that we will have all the roles which is available for Azure resources. So it's a two different set of role we are getting. So as per the ask, if you can see, what is the difference between Microsoft Entra role access and Azure role-based access control? Now we need to look. So if I look for Microsoft document, what it says, Microsoft Entra built-in and custom role are from our back in that Microsoft Entra roles control access to Microsoft Entra resources. And this is referred as a Microsoft Entra role-based access control. In the same way that Microsoft Entra role can control access to Microsoft Entra resources. So we are getting again the similar way for the Azure resources as well. So the answer would be Microsoft Entra role control access to resources such as user, group, and applications. And Azure role controls access to resources such as virtual machines. That is going to be the correct. Okay, now let's say the next question. And here this question asks, what feature can you use to assign user with access to resource based on the city attribute of the user? So it's like a claim-based authentication, or it's like a assigning the role on the basis of the user's attribute. So by default, you cannot assign direct role to the user on the basis of their city or you can say any other attribute. So we need to look a solution or the service who has the capability to manage the user on the basis of their attribute. So if I'll explore, there we found Microsoft is offering you something called dynamic group membership. So you can create a group, and there you can create a dynamic membership rule where you can go and set the, hey, the user and their user principal name, or maybe I can say city equal to this, whatever the requirement is. So once you created this rule, automatically all the user from a particular city will become a member of this particular group. Now, after that, what we can do, we can assign the permission to that group. So automatically the user will be member of that group, and whoever will become a member will get the permission, whatever you assign to that group. So logically, the dynamic group should be the answer. Let's explore the document. So here it says dynamic group have their membership determined automatically based on their attributes like CT or any other. So the right answer is going to be dynamic group. Now let's say the next question. Here it is asking what is the minimum edition of Microsoft Entra that allow you to create access package for users. So access package is part of entitlement management, and this is part of again identity governance. Sounds like advanced feature of Microsoft Entra as we discussed earlier. So all the advanced feature comes with the premium license. Let's understand what exactly it is. So there is one external user and wants to access some application or set of application or resources from your organization. So what you will do, we will create one access package. The external user will have access portal, and on from the access portal they can access their allowed you can say or eligible packages. So whenever the user has reached out to this place, now it will be asked for the approval. So whenever the user will request, the request will be forwarded to the approvers. Now the approvers are going to approve or reject based on their findings. Once it is approved, the user will be granted. They will start accessing the resource. Their accessing will be reviewed, and once they reach out to their lifetime, they'll get denied to access the resource, and user will get removed. So this is going to be complete cycle that we can do with the help of entitlement management or the access package. So now you can see, as I mentioned, here the ask is about the minimum edition which is required for it. So as we know, this is about entitlement management. So Microsoft has already clearly mentioned this Entra ID P2 license is required. So my answer is going to be Microsoft Entra ID P2. Okay. So the next question is about, in the shared security model, which responsibilities are retained by customers when hosting infrastructure as a service, and that is a virtual machine. So operating system, physical host, physical network, or physical data center. Let's understand this using Microsoft shared responsibility model. So you can see the blue color is about cloud customer and the gray color is about cloud provider. The question is about infrastructure as a service. So if you see, physical security is completely managed by the cloud provider. Host infrastructure is partially managed by the cloud provider and partially by cloud customer. Similarly, network is partially by provider and partially by customer, and rest other is completely managed by the cloud customers. So if I explore the Microsoft document, it says the customer must manage the operating system for virtual machine. That is going to be fully responsibility of the customer. So the right answer is going to be operating system. Now, which security model uses a layered approach to security, providing mechanism to stop a breach at the perimeter of each layer? Now, understand this question. So if I talk about the security at each layer, we have defense in depth, where you can see we need to plan the security at data, application, compute, network, perimeter, identity and access, and physical security as well. Along with that, we need to maintain confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So all your important data should be confidential, and also it should make sure when you're sharing the data or sending the data, it should remain as it was kept in a source side. It should not get intercepted in between. And availability means we should make sure whenever the resource is required by the user, that should be available. So by considering this 3 point, we need to plan our security on each layer. So as per this ask, if I explore the Microsoft document, it says defense in depth that can be used as a layered approach to security shared responsibility model. So if our answer is going to be defense in depth. Now, which encryption method uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt the data? Very simple. Let's explore. So we have two types of, you can say, encryption keys: symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. So if you see, the symmetric encryption uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt the data. They are using shared key. But if I talk about asymmetric encryption, there we have a public key that can be used commonly for encryption, and the private key can be used for decryption. So as per this question, definitely we are going to use symmetric encryption. That is going to be right answer. But anyway, let's explore the Microsoft documents, and even this Microsoft document says symmetric encryption is going to be used for for this scenario because it uses the same key to encrypt or decrypt it. So the right answer is going to be symmetric encryption. Now, what is a guiding principle of zero trust model? So if I explore that zero trust model, you can see there are three main guiding principles we are getting: verify explicitly, list privileged access, and assume bridge. So as for this zero trust, you don't need to trust on anything that you are getting from anyone. Instead, you just need to go and explicitly verify it. You always follow the best practice of assigning the permission or giving the permission with the list privilege. And do not assume that everything is secure. Instead, consider there is bridge, there could be bridge, and always try to find and fix it. So the answer should be verify explicitly, because the other options doesn't fall under that guided principles. So here, even the Microsoft Learn document says the zero trust model has three guidelines principle, which are verify explicitly, list privilege, and assume bridge. Because answer contains only verify explicitly, so my answer is going to be verify explicitly. Now the next question is, which pillar of an identity infrastructure is responsible for defining the level of access a user has over the resource on a network? So try to understand the context. Pillar of an identity infrastructure and level of access. So who decide? Authentication? No. Administration? No. Auditing? No. So what defines? So you can see here, and from this particular diagram, your identity, and you may have applications and something. The identity stores the information about the user. So once the user try to gain access on any of the resources, the identity is going to just identify by checking their identity information that you are a valid person to access these resources or not. That's authentication. But once you're identified, we must set something that can allow that you can access the resource, and what level of access you will have, that can be done with the help of authorization. So if I come back and check it out, answer does contain authorization or not? Yes, it is. So answer should be authorization. Let's see the reference document. It says authorization is responsible for determining which level of access authenticated user have. So that also proves definitely the authorization is going to be right answer. But why not the other one? Because administration is responsible for managing user accounts, authentication is responsible for identifying who a user is, and auditing is responsible to keep the track that how authentication, authorization, and administrations are being used. So the right answer is going to be authorization. Okay, see the next question. The next question is, which identity provider allows you to use software as a service and platform as a service in Azure with the least administrative effort? It's very simple. So if I talk about identity provider for software as a service or the platform as a service, even infrastructure as a service, we are getting one solution from Microsoft, which is Microsoft Entra ID. So it's very simple, but let's understand this. So as you can see, earlier this service was known as Azure Active Directory, and that was not, you can say, logical, because Microsoft provides this identity service for all cloud resources. So it doesn't matter you have on-premises application, or you have a non-Microsoft Cloud application, or the Microsoft Cloud applications, right? Even you have on-premises directory service, and you have hybrid solution. Even you have HR applications, other cloud HR applications, external identities, those who belongs to your partner. They all can be integrated at this one single place, which is Microsoft Entra ID. So if I talk about Microsoft Cloud and their identity solutions for any kind of application services, we can think about Microsoft Entra ID. This is what your question is. And as per this, the answer should be Microsoft Entra ID. So even I read this document, it says Microsoft Entra ID can be used without the need for any domain controller services. Active Directory requires virtual machine or physical server running Active Directory. So Google and Facebook identity require federation. So we will think about Microsoft Entra ID only, because this can be the additional administrative effort. So question is list administrative effort. So answer is going to be Microsoft Entra ID. Now, the next question is, what is the capability of Active Directory domain service? And this is about on-premises directory service. It is asking, hey, what on-premises directory service can do? So if you can see here, definitely it will have a lot of component. And as you can see here, users are coming from either internal or external places. They can reach out to your identity, which is created in on-premises. And you might have different application hosted within your corporate network that can be integrated at this place, similar to the Entra ID, but it is completely in your control. So if you see the answer, support mobile devices, support software as a service application, manage on-premises system by using single identity per user, and manage line of business application apps that requires modern authentication methods. It's very simple. It should be the third one. So it says manage multiple on-premises infrastructure components and system by using single identity per user. So our answer is going to be third, which is manage on-premises system by using a single identity per user. Now, next question is, which Azure feature provides network level filtering, application level filtering, and outbound, you can say, source NAT? Okay, so answer is distributed denial of service protection, Azure Firewall, Web Application Firewall, and Azure Bastion. What do you think? What should be? So if I explore it, so Microsoft talks about Azure Firewall, and this Azure Firewall is offering you your, you can say, user configuration, layer 3 and to layer 7, you can say connectivity policies. You can also have Microsoft Threat Intelligence, and you can say known malicious IP and FQDNs that you can filter it out. You can use NATing. You can filter the traffic by creating the rules, and you can decide it should be inbound and outbound, how the access would be there. And it can also be integrated with your on-premises. You can do filtering for that if it is coming, if you have your connection for the on-premises established. So it's very simple. Now we got this answer. The Azure Firewall provides you all this capability: filtering at application level, filtering, and also setting outbound SNAT. So the answer is going to be Azure Firewall. Now the next question is, what Azure feature provides application level filtering and SSL termination? So again, it's going to be, it's an application level. So it's going to be firewall, but this firewall is not going to be Azure Firewall. This is Web Application Firewall, because the ask is about application level filtering. So for that, Microsoft is offering your dedicated application level filtering firewall, which is known as WAF. So we can use WAF. As you can see, we have application hosted somewhere in a network. It can be a Microsoft global network, or maybe another cloud, or maybe on-premises, doesn't matter. Top of it, we are going to integrate WAF, and there we can create the filtering rules. And we do get a lot of, you can say, default rules that can help you to find the malicious traffic and reject it directly from here. And whatever is authorized or allowed can go inside. Rest can be returned from here. So if you can see, now we got the answer. This should be the Azure Firewall. Let's see what Microsoft document says. Azure WAF provides all these capabilities. DDoS protection, does not provide filtering. Azure Firewall does not provide SSL termination, and Bastion does not provide filtering. So the right answer is going to be Azure Web Application Firewall. Now, what can you use to connect to Azure Virtual Machine remotely over RDP and SSH from the Azure portal. This is important. So we do have multiple options to connect our RDP, I mean virtual machine. We can take it through the RDP over the public IP. We can access it through SSH over the public, which is fine. But if you can see here, the answer doesn't contain such things. There it says Azure Web Application Firewall, Microsoft Entra ID Protection, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and Azure Bastion, right? So we need to find the right answer and the best answer if you have not any clear context given or any clear, you can say, approach they are asking. Because we can access in this scenario through RDP, through SSH, but it has to go with the best approach as per the answer. So here, the Azure Bastion is going to be right one. So if you can see, why Bastion? So as you can see, these all are my virtual machines kept in a private network. Top of it, it has NSG, and all these VMs are having private IP, doesn't have any public IP associated with it. Now, top of it, we created one Azure Bastion subnet where we will have Bastion controller, which is completely managed service and being managed by Microsoft. Now, what will happen once the user comes from the public place, their request will get terminated at this place. Now, this service would be responsible and the Bastion controller would be responsible to take these resources connected and offer it to end user. So this is going to be best approach to access your virtual machine over RDP, or you can say SSH. So answer should be the Bastion. Let's see. The document also says Bastion is the service that lets you connect to virtual machine by using browser and the Azure portal. So answer is the Azure Bastion. Now if you see which two industry frameworks are used in Azure Security Benchmark, each correct answer presents a complete solution. Now it's a security benchmark and there are a lot of, you can say, frameworks are available, but the question is looking for the Azure Security Benchmark. So we need to framework for Azure Security Benchmark. So we need to look for that. And here you can see the Microsoft document clearly says the CIS and NIST is the industry framework that can be used for the Azure Security Benchmark. So as for this, now I'll go and explore the answer. We are getting NIST and we have Center of Internet Security. So the document also says CIS is the main industry standard used and NIST is another standard that can be used. But why not the other two? So if I talk about FIPS, which is designed for the hardware security module, and if I talk about OWASP, that is for the web application firewall standard, not for you can say security benchmark. And that's the reason our answer should be CIS and NIST. Now the next question is, what can you use to manage security for a multi-cloud environment that includes Amazon Web Service and the Google Cloud Platform? Again, it's very simple. The question is asking, is there any service that Microsoft offers that can protect your AWS and GCP as well? So if I talk about the service, so you can see Microsoft is offering one service called Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and that can be integrated with AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and even on-prem infrastructure. So here the answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and that should be your answer. Even the Microsoft document says Microsoft Defender for Cloud gives you the ability to connect and secure resources hosted in AWS and GCP. So the right answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Now the next question is, which two types of security system make up Microsoft Sentinel? And each correct answer presents part of the solution. So if I say Sentinel is the service which is being offered by Microsoft, and as you can see, it clearly says it has two features, SIEM and SOAR. SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Management, and SOAR is Security Orchestration or Automated Response. So what this service does, it collects the data from the different sources. Now it detects the threats or any other, you can say, malicious activities going on with the help of threat intelligence and analytics rules. Then it investigates and lets you know by generating incident or alerts that what exactly happens. And if you have configured automated response, so it will automatically respond to that one. So the answer should be cman SOAR, because this is the functionality we are getting for Microsoft Sentinel. And the document also says Microsoft Sentinel is a mix of SIEM and SOAR system. So the correct answer is going to be SIEM and SOAR. Okay, so the next question is, what can you use to aggregate security alerts into incident and create automated response to security alert? So definitely the answer should be Microsoft Sentinel, because Defender for Cloud is not going to take the response automatically. We have to define it. Intune is not for the security. Yes, it is security, but moreover, this is for the device compliance management and the device management. And Microsoft 365 Defender services uh, can be used. Explore the first important thing that we can see: aggregating the security alert into incident and create automated response. How that works in a security, let's understand that one. So let's assume this scenario. This is your application. One of the user is trying to access their applications from the portal. As you can see, the user belongs to this Microsoft Entra, and we have enabled Microsoft Entra identity protection as well, which detects the user sign in is in risk or users are in risk or not. So let's see what happens first. So Microsoft Entra user is trying to access this application through the Tor browser, correct? Now what will happen once that user reached out to this place? The user will be forwarded for authentication. So user came to this place for authentication. Now everything will get captured to this place. Now the Microsoft Entra ID protection will check, hey, how that user is accessing or what application it is accessing. So it has detected that Microsoft user is using Tor browser to access their application. So whenever the user is trying to access this application from this particular browser, that will get forwarded to the Entra ID. All this information will recorded to the Microsoft Sentinel. Now this information will be captured and will get analyzed by the Sentinel. So log got inserted, the alert got created. On the basis of their alert, the incident got created. And now if you have automated this response, so the playbook will get triggered to take the action against it. So this is what the workflow we do have whenever user is trying to access any resource and the detection would take place. So as per this diagram, it clearly says if we have Sentinel, there we got all the information related to user activity, and top of it we got automated approach to get it fixed. In between, all the alerts got collected and incident got generated for it. So this is something very logical. So now if you can see, as per our previous discussion, the Microsoft Sentinel is going to be the right answer. Let's see what learn document says. It says aggregating security alerts into incident and creating automated response to security alert can be completed by using Microsoft Sentinel. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be the right answer. But along with that, if you see, why not the other? So Microsoft for Cloud and Microsoft 365 Defender cannot help you to manage cyber incident unless it is connected to the Microsoft Sentinel. And Intune, as we discussed, this is not for the cyber incident. This is for the device management. So the best answer is going to be Microsoft Sentinel. Now, the next question is, what can you use in Microsoft Sentinel to create visual report? It's very simple. So you can see this is the Sentinel console, and if I need a visual report, there is a workbook section, and from the workbooks we can create a visual report. It gives you the templates that you can use, or if you want to create from this scratch, that option is also there that you can create. So the right answer is going to be workbook. Even the Microsoft document talks about Azure monitor workbook can be used, or you can say workbook directly inside the Sentinel can be used to that. So right answer is going to be workbook. Select the answer that correctly completes the sentence. In Microsoft Sentinel, an incident is a group of related what? Alert, workbook, security task, and hunting queries. Logically, definitely alerts. So if you try to understand, as you can see in this particular diagram, this is one of the incident, like multi-stage incident involving initial access and collection on one endpoint, whatever it is. So this incident has already created one story, and that story is all about the alerts. So attackers are not going to just make an attack immediately or altogether. They will execute it in a step by step. So if any malicious activity is happening, it will keep generating their alerts. And in a backend, it will keep relating those activity or the you can say um, execution by the attackers to find their purpose. And once they find the purpose of attacker, they create one incident. So here you will find all their you can say story, alert story, or you can also have the complete alert which is associated with it. So in short, I can say incident is a collection of alerts. So now you can see at this place, now if I got to know, so I can complete this sentence by answering or picking this one. Let's see what it says. Microsoft Sentinel uses analytics to correlate alerts into incidents. Thus answer your question, and the right answer is going to be alerts. Now, which feature is only available in Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2? And this is about exploring the offering feature by the Microsoft for their services. So if I'll go and explore, if I talk about Plan 2, there we can see we are getting something called automated investigation and response. We are getting XDR capabilities such as cross-domain hunting and incident correlation, right? Attack simulation training. So there are many features which is available in plan 2 as compared to the plan 1. So we need to check which one falls here. What are the options we got as an answer? So if I look for it, attack simulator is something which we are getting from our answer list, which is available in plan 2. So our right answer should be attack simulator. Okay, let's say the next question. It says, which feature in Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is used to retrieve data from activity logs? So how it is going to fetch the information from the logs in cloud apps? For that, we need to understand how actually cloud apps, Defender for Cloud Apps looks like. So you can see here, the cloud apps connects the data, fetches the information from there, and on the basis of that, it provides you the complete information that how many applications it has detected, the IP address uses, the devices, and the traffic, everything. This definitely, if the data belongs to somewhere else, the cloud app service must reach out to that place and fetch those information. And for that, definitely we need some kind of connector to connect that source and fetch those information. So here it should be the connector should be the right answer, but let's see what Microsoft says. So connector retrieves data from apps and their activity logs. So policy detects risky behavior, violation, and suspicious data point. The cloud app catalog is used to sanction or unsanction apps, and cloud discovery is used to identify cloud environment and apps. So app connector is going to be the right answer. Now, which two services does Microsoft Secure Score provides recommendation? So which two services? Microsoft Secure Score provides recommendation. So Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Teams, Azure SQL Database, or Azure Cosmos DB. So if I look for this, you can see we have identity, we have data, we have devices, we have apps. So this is what we are getting under the security score, not the individual service. So you can see the answer is containing this Entra, Teams, Microsoft SQL Database, Cosmos Database. No, because it is about Microsoft Security Score, and that will be your cloud-based applications like Teams or Entra. So if I'll go to this place, security support recommendation is Microsoft 365. So their services could be there and Entra could be there. So right answer is going to be Microsoft Entra and Microsoft Teams. Now, which Microsoft Defender 365 solution safeguards against malicious email threats? So if I talk about Microsoft Defender services, we do have a lot of services. Now let's understand, if I talk about Microsoft Defender for XDR, you can see it is offering, and it is connected with Microsoft Defender for Office 365, and this is for the Exchange Online, you can say protection. We do have Microsoft Defender for Identity, and there we can protect our Microsoft Entra ID along with your on-premises. We do have Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is protecting our organization devices. And we have cloud apps that protects our cloud application. In fact, we have dedicated Microsoft Entra ID protection service that again protects your Microsoft Entra ID. And all the signals are being forwarded to the Microsoft Defender XDR, where we can manage alerts, incident, and everything. So as per the question that I can see, Microsoft Defender for Office 365 can be used for Exchange Online. So you can see our ask is malicious email threats. Email belongs to Exchange Online. So answer should be Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Here you can see Defender for Office 365 safeguard against malicious threat posted by email messages like URLs, collaboration tools, and something. So yeah, the right answer is going to be Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Now the next question is, which Microsoft solution allow you to meet compliance standard for general data protection regulation and the payment card industry? So to understand it, we are going to identify the cloud application security broker service. And if you can see, it offers you something called data loss prevention, which protects your data, financial data, and everything. So as per the question asked, it is asking you what is going to meet your compliance standard for GDPR in the payment card system. So it's very simple. We are going to use Microsoft Defender for Cloud app that offers you the CSV, Defender for Cloud app. So Defender for Cloud app is offering you cloud access security broker service, and that will provide you this GDPR and PCI protection. So answer should be Microsoft Defender for Cloud app. Now, what are the 4 pillars of cloud access security broker? Once I'll come to this place, there you can see visibility, compliance, data security, and threat protection. That's basically 4. So now if I can see visibility, compliance, data security, and platform security. It's very simple. If I'm using any, you can say, Defender services, that gives you something called clear visibility about your threats or malicious, gives you the compliance information, provides you the data security and the platform security as well. Okay, so this is going to be right. Okay, so the next question is, which Microsoft privacy principle defines the use and management of encryption keys? So this question is related to Microsoft Priva service. And if I'll explore the Microsoft Priva service security offering, here we are getting the list. We can control your information, your data is protected, and there you can see it uses encryption for that. You can expect privacy by design, and we stand up for your rights. So this is what we get under the security of Microsoft Priva. So our question is based on that. Here it is asking you, which principle defines the use and management of encryption key? Transparency, no. Control, no. Strong legal protection, no. Definitely the security one is offering you. So we can consider that would be the right answer. Now, the next question is, select the answer that correctly completes the sentence. And the sentence is what? The Microsoft approaches to privacy is built on what? Control, transparency, security, a strong legal protection, and what? Because this is the question, so we have to be very specific and stick with the Microsoft statement from the documents. So if I'll go to that place and there you can check. Again, this question is based on the Microsoft Priva, and if I see, it offers you the privacy statement, it offers you the privacy risk management, tracker scanning, consent management, and subject right request as well. So if I try to understand what exactly it will offer you at this place, so for that, for better, you must explore the Microsoft document, so you will get the exact sequential answer. So here it says control, transparency, security, strong legal protection, and no content-based targeting is the benefit. So our answer is going to be control, transparency, security, strong legal protection, no content-based targeting, and benefits to you. This is something going to be the right answer. That's the complete sequence we are getting in a Microsoft. Okay, the next question is where you can find the independent audit reports and assessment of Microsoft Cloud Services. It's very important. It's talking about cloud services, entire Microsoft Cloud Services. So Microsoft has their trust portal. If you'll go to the Microsoft trust portal, there you will find something called compliance category. Under the compliance, you will find this audit reports. And the Microsoft has published their entire audit reports and this particular place. So you can verify explicitly the services which is being offered by Microsoft is the right one or not, and the regulatory authority has done auditing or not. If they have done what audit report says, everything is transparent and you can take it from this particular place. Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's going to be Trust Portal. So let's see what document says. So the Service Trust Portal provides you the information, tools, and other resources about Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance practices. So the right answer is going to be Microsoft Service Trust Portal. Now the next question is, where can you find information, tools, and other resources about Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance practices? It's very simple. Where we can find out. So you can see that's a Microsoft Trust Center. There we are getting all these informations available. So the answer should be Microsoft Service Trust Portal. That's great. And it's very simple. Let's say the next question. And this question is about Microsoft Purview. So it says, what are the 3 types of control used in Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager? And each correct answer represents part of the solution. So we need to understand what this Purview Compliance Manager does. So if you come to this place, uh, this is how it looks like. There we are getting something called complete compliance score and all our recommendation. But the ask is not looking for, you can say, compliance score and the recommendation. The ask is very simple, where it asks, hey, tell me the 3 type of control. So if I talk about Microsoft Purview, it doesn't support third party. So from the answer, we are going to exclude that third party if it has any. So Microsoft managed control, third party control, this is not going to be answered. Microsoft managed control, shared control, and customer managed control. This seems good. Third party control and government control. Government control are also not being managed by the Purview. So this is not going to be answered. Now again, this is containing the government control. So this is incorrect, this is incorrect, this is incorrect. So the right answer is going to be Microsoft managed control, shared control, and customer managed control. Now if I read the Microsoft provided reference, here it says compliance manager use Microsoft managed control, shared control, as well as the customer control. It doesn't use third party control and government control. So the right answer is going to be this. Now, the next question is, what does the compliance score in compliance manager measure? And it's not about only the compliance score, any kind of a score that you're getting from the Microsoft security services. It talks about your implementation phase. For example, here you can see we got 57% of question, and along with this score, we are getting the recommendations as well, the improvement actions. So improvement action would be part of your implementation. So while implementing the security, we can come and explore that, hey, we got this much of a score. Now these are the things that we can implement. So my score will get increased. So if I see the answer, definitely we need to look for the implementation area. So this is for deployment, this is for access, this is for creating. Only one answer that I can see related to the implementing. So that would be the correct one. So the compliance score in compliance manager measures an organization progress towards implementing controllers. So that is going to be the right answer. Okay, so the next question is, what can you use to monitor communication that contains sensitive information and minimize the exposed risk? So it is about to monitoring the communication and sensitive information that belongs to an organization or the tenant. So definitely we are not going to use the trust portal. This is for the entire Microsoft services. Defender for cloud is not going to tell you about the sensitive information. And Intune Admin Center definitely is for the device management. So logically, it should be Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. We already explored it. So the compliance portal will provide you the complete, you can say, recommendations, or you can say exposed a recommendation that you can implement to harden it. So even for the document, if you can see, the Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal helps admin to manage an organization compliance requirement with the greater ease of convenience and help reduce data risks. So the answer is going to be the Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. Now the next one is, select the answer that correctly completes the sentence. Here the sentence is Microsoft Purview information protection and data lifecycle management work together to do what? So let's understand the Purview information protection and lifecycle management. So this information protection and data lifecycle management work together to classify, protect, and govern your data. So now we need to look that answer. So the answer should be classify, protect, and govern. So the answer should be classify, protect, and govern. Okay, so the next question is what can be used to set up a unified data governance service that enables end-to-end data lineage? It's very simple. If you are looking for data security in a Microsoft, you think at first level Microsoft Purview. So as the question is asking for data governance and end-to-end lineage, definitely Active Directory is not there for data governance. Microsoft Defender for SQL, we do not get any kind Defender service for SQL. We do have Microsoft Purview and Microsoft Intune. As we discussed, Intune is for the device management, so Purview is going to be right answer. If I look for the Microsoft Purview solution, there you can see you will find something called data governance. The first thing, Microsoft Purview data governance solution. And there we are getting the data unified catalog, governance, domains, data products, data quality, data map, and so on. So the answer is going to be Microsoft Purview. Even from the Microsoft Learn document, it has clearly mentioned Microsoft Purview is a unified data governance service. Okay, so the right answer is Microsoft Purview. The next question is, in Microsoft Purview, what can you use to detect potential leaks of sensitive data and theft of intellectual property? This is something related to internal threat protection. So the Microsoft offers you a service where you can protect your data from the internal attacks or internal threats. There might be possibility one of the internal user is serving notice period and his or her intention is not good and trying to do exfiltration of your data. So you must implement some security that it can track of that exfiltration which is being done by internal user. So even for that, you can see we are getting this insider risk functionality within our Microsoft Purview, and there we can create the policy to determine what action can be monitored. On the basis of that, alert will be generated, but then we can do the try-is, and after that we can have investigation on it, and finally we can take an action, either generating or creating a case with the HR and hand over the entire information to them. So here, if I can see, it's going to be insider threat or insider risk management. This is the feature that we are getting inside the Microsoft Purview. So here it says insider risk management is a solution that helps minimize the risk associated with the sensitive data leak, data, you can say, spoilage. So the answer is going to be insider risk management. Now the next one is, which feature is only available in the premium edition of eDiscovery for Microsoft Purview? So for that we need to explore the Microsoft, you can say, edition and their feature. So you can see in the premium edition we are getting advanced eDiscovery workflow where we can add custodian to the case, or we can have collect relevant content from the data sources. We can commit collection to a review set, review and analyze data in review set, export and download the case data. So here we can see the feature list that we will get in a premium is eDiscovery, and that will give you the assigning custodian is only available in the premium. So the right answer is going to be assigning custodian. Now in this particular question, it is asking in Microsoft Purview, what can be used to investigate possible security or compliance breaches and identify their scope based on records? Definitely. What feature and service that we are getting inside the Purview that will investigate possible security compliance breaches? Okay. So let's explore here. The audit is the option. We can do auditing, and through which we can identify, or you can say do investigation for your compliance breaches, and we can also find their scope. So the right answer is going to be audit premium. Now the last question is, which statement accurately describe Azure policy. Now, this is one of the service we are getting on Azure portal to manage the compliance for your Azure services. So if I talk about this, this is how it looks like. There we can go and create the definition and we can have assignments. So inside the definition, you can define what policy you want to enforce within your organization, and you can then assign it by setting the scope. Either you can do it on a subscription, or you can do it on a resource level, a resource group level, or management group level. So whatever the policy that you have set, once it is applied, now it will keep scanning your resources and let you know the resources are compliant as per your policy or not. This is good for the organization. Those who start with the Azure compliance can go with this Azure policy option. So now we need to match the answer, because it's very simple question which a statement accurately describe. It's a definition of Azure policy. So Azure policy is designed to help enforce standard and accesses compliance across the organization. Or Azure policy manage who has access to Azure resources, what they can do. No. Azure policy is designed to address the challenges associated with the rapid growth. No. Azure policy provides a way to define repeatable set of Azure resources. No. I think the first one is going to be the right one. So let's explore. Here it says Azure policy is designed to help enforce a standard and assess compliance across an organization. And the right answer is going to be Azure policy is designed to help enforce a standard, assess compliances across an organization. Okay, now let's see some exam tips. The first thing, you need to start by eliminating irrelevant options, because you saw that there are multiple options. Now what you can do, the first thing, just try to eliminate the irrelevant options. And this will help you to narrow down your focus and move in the right direction. The second point is always read and understand the context of the question, what exactly they are asking. You might have different service name, but the ask would be different. So read carefully and find out what exactly that question is asking. And the third and final one, if there is no specific requirement mentioned, like, hey, how you are going to access the remote desktop of a virtual machine. So in that case, you have to always go with the best administrative action, or the best service that can meet the requirement, or best user action that they can use to meet the requirement. So that's the three key points that always you need to keep in your mind in the exam. So it will also improve the speed of answering this question.